So, in order for me to achieve my goals for expanding my practice and serving and helping, as many job seekers as possible, I often have seen, and I'm sure I will continue to see a couple of roadblocks. Number one, people don't understand, what career coaching is, and more importantly, the value it can offer you and the difference it can make, not just in your career, not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7 and 8 figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rajan, and today's guest is Yauhan Mehta, a LinkedIn top voice career coach and organizational psychologist who has helped over 500 professionals land roles at top companies including Amazon, Deloitte, Shopify, and RBC. With over 15 plus years of experience, large-scale change initiatives at Fortune 500 companies, and brings a rare blend of strategic insight and human-centered coaching to his work. As the founder of a thriving career coaching practice, he specializes in helping ambitious professionals gain career clarity, elevate their personal brand, and land dream roles faster, all while staying grounded in their unique strengths and values. And it's a pleasure for me to have him on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Yauhan.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here today with you. Grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for us to have you on. So thank you for coming. I wanted to ask you, for anyone who doesn't know, I met Yauhan also last year when we did the research last year. So this year, we're doing that next year's research. I wanted to ask you, Yauhan, because I think last year we didn't touch upon this. When it comes to how you got started with coaching, first of all, I want to understand what inspired you to become a coach and then start your own coaching business?
So for me, the coaching actually started more as mentorship. And this was about 15 years ago when I was part of University of Toronto, which is, one of Canada's leading institutions. I was part of the Career Center. And in that Career Center, I got my first exposure to helping students, including a lot of new students and international students, and connecting them with employers and helping them get opportunities with top leading Canadian employers. So that was my first exposure to mentorship. And that continued as people started reaching out to me, friends, family for the most part. That then continued when during my master's at University of New Haven in the US, again, I got the opportunity to be part of the Career Center. So that's where the journey continued of doing what I was doing at the University of Toronto. Again, predominantly this time helping international students get good opportunities at top US employers. And recently, as in like 5 years ago, I formally went into transitioning from mentorship to coaching. And this really began actually right at the time of COVID. So go back to March 2020. And I had an influx of people reaching out to me saying, Yauhan, we see that you're on LinkedIn, you've worked for top Canadian companies, you're currently working with Deloitte. How did you get into these companies? How did you get into Deloitte? We want to work for Deloitte. And then what started as a lot of volunteer work that people found a lot of value in. One fine day somebody said, Johan, why don't you convert this into something more of a formal coaching program? And like they say, the rest was history.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. And when it comes to the amount of years that you've been working as a coach, it's been like 6 years, you mentioned, right?
So formally, I have been working as a career coach for the past 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But informally, as a career mentor, it's been close to 15 years.
Interesting. And so for the last few years, formally doing this, when working with a client, what about that coaching journey that you're going through them? What about it do you find the most rewarding since you started doing this?
So in my coaching practice and my coaching journey, I find three things to be most rewarding when I'm serving my clients. The first is helping people with clarity. So a lot of people who come to me, they are absolutely lost with their career. So they either haven't worked before, or they have a little bit of experience, or they have a lot of experience, but they have absolutely no clue on what the next best career path for them would be. So for those with experience, would that be a continuation of where they, left their previous career? And this could be, left their career back home and now moved to Canada or moved to the US, which are the two markets that I predominantly serve.
Mhm.
So step number one, or the most satisfying thing that I find first, is helping them get clear on what's next for them. That's going to help them get not a job, but a career that's meaningful and fulfilling. The second thing I find most rewarding is helping people get interviews. So the number one challenge in people who are transitioning careers or looking for jobs, the biggest struggle for all of them is getting interviews. And this is my true passion, is how do you get people interviews with unconventional strategies? So when I say unconventional strategies, I mean not applying online all the time. I mean not scheduling hundreds of coffee chats. I mean not just relying on superficial referrals, but really thinking about creative ways to create opportunities for yourself where you're not chasing behind people, opportunities, hiring managers, decision makers are coming to you. And then the third thing that I find most gratifying is receiving that text message from people who I help saying, I've got the job offer. And then of course, helping them decide the right offer for them and helping them negotiate the highest possible compensation package that they absolutely deserve.
Cool, amazing. So right now, when it comes to the clients that you work with, you mentioned both Canada and US are markets that you typically work with. Is there a certain demographic that you typically find yourself working with? We did mention that they could be either with no experience or with a lot of experience, but they just want to figure out their next move. So, when in terms of like demographics, I'm looking for, is there a specific age range that you typically have found working with you, or if there's, it's not limited probably to that? And the other thing is, what about industry? Is it industry agnostic, or is there specific industries that you find that you typically find these people with? So what I'm looking for is like, what is the ideal client profile for you?
So when I started off my career coaching journey formally 5.5, 6 years ago, my ideal client and who I served the most were students. Okay? So these were students who had maybe no experience or 1 to 3 years of experience. And I predominantly focused on people who were finishing graduate school, things like your MBA or masters in any kind of profession. So this is what I focused on for the first year. Are students from graduate schools, typically, the bigger, more reputable universities. After that year, as I started getting more, good and comfortable, I started actually transitioning away from students and into early to mid career professionals. And this is who I now also predominantly serve, is early to mid career professionals across industries. So I've helped people in technology, consulting, healthcare, retail, MNCs, you name it. I've also helped people across professions. So human resources, project management, marketing, finance, AI, right? Essentially, the profession and the industry does not matter. The fundamentals of how I help people remain the same. Of course, each one gets a very curated and customized coaching experience for me, depending on their skills, their background, their interest, and how they operate as a person, right? So you have to look at all of this as a package and then really customize a plan that works for them. So that's who I serve now.
Cool. And so for these people that some of them might be listening, is there a certain program that they go through with you, a certain program length? How is that engagement with you?
So when I coach someone, I like to do two things. Number one, I like to keep things very simple. Number two, I want to get them results that they're not able to get on their own. Okay, so let me break this down a little bit. Step number one, keep it very simple. So my coaching program focuses on 3 steps. Step number one is called clarity. So clarity is all about making sure exactly where you're headed next. What is that ideal career profile for you? What is that ideal role for you? Okay, we're not going to go after like 5 or 6 different roles. what is the right level for you so that you're not applying for jobs that you're either over or underqualified for. Okay. And then what are you expecting in your next employer, and making sure they align with your interests, with your values, with your skills, and also with, the compensation package that you deserve. So step one is all about clarity. Step number two is all about connection. So step number two, the goal is to get you maximum number of interviews, which you're not able to do on your own for various reasons, right? Could be your resume, could be your approach, could be the market, could be your skills, right? It could be your confidence, right? So step number two is using the power of connections, using the power of relationships to get in front of decision makers and help you land your next interview. So that's the goal, is to land interviews. Step number three is job offers. So there's no point of, getting interview after interview. That's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to get an offer in the fastest possible time, ideally multiple offers, which a lot of my clients get, and then having that luxury of picking and choosing the one that most aligns with your skills, your interests, and your values. And then, of course, negotiating the best possible compensation that will not just make you happy, but make you feel valued and worthwhile when you take on that job offer.
I really like how you've broken down these on a step by step. That was very, very clear and well thought. So, for now, the clients that you work with, and this is going to be a question that might be interesting also to other coaches. Where do you find them, or where do they find you? Is there a certain marketing channel that you've seen working very well for you?
So where I find my clients, and I don't even like to call them clients, they're essentially my friends, right? What starts off as, a connection eventually evolves into a friendship. And that's really important. When you serve someone, you have to connect with them. You have to have that bond where you know everything about them, their strengths, their weaknesses, their struggles, their blind spots, their aspirations, right? You have to get a holistic picture about that person to be able to support and serve them effectively. In terms of where I find and connect with people, again, I like to keep things simple. So the only platform that I use is LinkedIn. It's the only one I've used for 10, 12 years now, and it's the only one I continue using. So I don't have any accounts on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, right? It's all about LinkedIn, because that I feel is the most powerful professional network for coaches like myself to connect with other coaches, with job seekers, with career transitioners, with entrepreneurs, revolved around helping them achieve their career as well as their life goals. So in short, it's LinkedIn.
LinkedIn plus the referrals as well. Good. That makes sense. And are you like constantly trying to post content on LinkedIn? Is there some sort of strategy that you've seen working?
So LinkedIn content is very powerful, and it's a big part of my strategy to acquire and connect with people I decide to take on and support. I post content very regularly. And when I say very regularly, it's at least 5 times in a week. And sometimes it's all 7 days. I post one piece of content a day, but I make sure that content is either interesting or it adds value. Most often it does both. So it's interesting to people, it's informative, but it also adds value. It teaches them something, it enables them, it empowers them to take action. So my content is not only focused on career coaching. So it's not just about, resumes and LinkedIn and personal branding and interview tips. I mean, definitely that's part of it, but I like to relate to people as opposed to just mentoring and coaching them formally through my content. And so the content will be, what I do is I share my personal journey, I share my experiences. I come across as not the top career coach sharing wisdom, but it's about a human sharing his journey, his thoughts, his lessons, so that people can get inspired and empowered to do the same for themselves.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that, Jan. And you made me think for a second. So when thinking about the future for your coaching business, let's say for the next 1 to 3 years, are you working towards some specific goals that you want to achieve with your coaching business?
Yes, so the coaching practice is always evolving. And right now we are in July of 2025. And I actually have plans to really scale my coaching business and impact as many people as possible in the years that I am able to serve. So right now, my coaching is focused purely on one-on-one, which definitely has been very effective because it helps me connect with people. And that connection, that bond eventually helps them secure employment. However, as I expand and stay true to my vision, I want to continue with the one-on-one, but I also want to start doing a little bit of group coaching where whatever I share not only impacts, the one or two people that I talk to, but it impacts hundreds of people at the same time. So more on that in the next month or two as I start formalizing this.
Mm-hmm. And wanted to ask you, think about this goal specifically. Where are you facing challenges right now? Where do you see the bottleneck in achieving these goals?
So in order for me to achieve my goals for expanding my practice and serving and helping, as many job seekers as possible, I often have seen, and I'm sure I will continue to see a couple of roadblocks. Number one, people don't understand, what career coaching is, and more importantly, the value it can offer you and the difference it can make, not just in your career, not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life. If you work with the right coach who gives you the right guidance, who supports you with the right tools, you will end up with a job that, you're fulfilled with, you're happy with, and guess what? That will then transfer over to your personal life as well. We spend 1/3 of our lives working. That's 90,000 hours during our lifetime. That's a lot of time. So you really want to be careful about what you do with your career because it really makes a big difference how satisfied and how happy you are. So the big roadblock over there is just not understanding the value of working with a good coach and how significant it can be in terms of a positive impact for you. The second I feel also is the financials. So a lot of people, they either don't have the financials to be able to dedicate towards this, or they have the financials, but then coming back to point one, they don't see the value, right? So they're not willing to invest a few $100s, a few $1,000s, and they're not able to clearly see the return on their investment. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, this is their hard-earned money, and everybody is careful. Even before you spend a dollar, let alone thousands of dollars, you want to make sure that it's invested in the right person in the right program, right? So that's a roadblock that sometimes you need to get somebody either on a video chat or a face-to-face to be able to convince them. It doesn't happen through emails and DMs and all of that. So that's the second big roadblock. And the third roadblock I see is people having gone through a bad experience. So they hired someone who was not qualified or was qualified, but just, did not meet their expectations. And I avoid, first of all, taking on clients who I personally feel I cannot help and support. I refer them to my colleagues. And secondly, I make sure that we are both aligned in terms of, goals, in terms of expectations, and there is no false hopes or false expectations. So to give you an example, a lot of people come to me saying, Johan, will you help me get a job? Right? And will you do it for me in 90 days, which is what other coaches are telling they would do for me. And I say no. Like, I just like being honest. I said, I cannot guarantee that you will get a job in 90 days. I wish I could. I mean, I've served people who have gotten jobs in 15 days, but I've also served people who've gotten jobs in 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's less about me, but more about the job seeker, the career transitioner, and the time, the commitment, the effort that they put in. And people who are really committed and people who action on what I ask them to action on see amazing results in the fastest possible time. So those would be the top three roadblocks.
Yeah, you you bring a good point there that yeah, just like creating that right expectation for the client is key in them working with you and working with any coach. Actually, it's very hard to predict when you can land the job. and it might happen a lot faster than you think, which is like not, it's very hard to predict that. And you also make a good point when you say that oftentimes you find coaches where you're referring clients to, or they're referring clients to you, because I've noticed this so many times in the podcast. We've done many episodes, I've interviewed many coaches, and I've seen that there is actually no competition between coaches. It's mostly collaboration. So there's always that case where the client just doesn't fit very well with you, but could fit very well with another coach that you can think of, or other coaches find clients that think you'd be a great fit for and just like refer them back to you. And it's such a great thing. It happens in the coaching industry, that the competition is not like with other industries or with other business models. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
So coaching and career coaching specifically has evolved so much over the years. And it's funny. These days, if you come on LinkedIn, you see every HR professional, every recruiter calling themselves a coach, and a career coach, right? So there is so many people trying to do this. However, the best coaches look at this not as competition, they look at this as collaboration. And that's exactly the approach I have taken that has really, really helped and served me over the years. I look at this with an abundant mindset. So not that, this person got these clients and I only have this, and their program is this much, mine's only this much, right? If you start taking your mindset along those lines, you won't be able to deliver and you won't be able to sustain. So it's funny, some of my best friends on LinkedIn, which is the platform that I use, are fellow career coaches. And I can tell you at least 50 of them that I am good friends with, not just that I know and I'm connected with, that I'm actually good friends with. And we've met in person, we've had, lunch together, we have exchanged insights, we have shared our journeys, our struggles, our wins. And that's my recommendation for anybody getting into career coaching or any profession for that matter, right? Compare yourself to yourself and what you were yesterday, as opposed to, people doing the same thing as you.
Well, totally agree. I totally agree with that. I wanted to ask, and this is the final question, Jan, is wanted to ask you, for other coaches, is there any advice you'd give to other coaches who are looking to scale their impact?
So in this day and age, there are a lot of people who are looking to make income in addition to their day job, in addition to their full-time role. And for those who are looking to start career coaching or to expand their career coaching business, either as a side hustle or as a full-time solopreneur and entrepreneur, I have lots of advice to give, but I will keep it to my top 3 recommendations. So my first recommendation is to really get clear on your why. So why is it that you want to coach? Why is it specifically that you want to coach people on their career? Right? What is it that drives you? And if the answer is, I've heard career coaching can make you a lot of money, that's not the right way to approach it. Right. It's really looking and tapping into your skills, your interests, your purpose, your passion. And if that is to help people find clarity in their careers, to get interviews, to land amazing offers, then you're on the right track. Number 2 piece of advice is, before you start giving anybody advice and coaching, do a little bit of a self-reflection on yourself. Okay, do a little bit of soul searching and really think about what is it about you or the coaching that you intend to provide that will serve people but also add immense value. If somebody is investing in you and your program, you want to make sure that you at least give them a 2x ROI, if not X, because that's what people expect. If they are spending money and time behind you and having those expectations, you have to be able to meet those expectations. And don't lie to people and don't set false expectations, because you may win a few clients very quickly with that approach, but long term, people will sense that and they will not want to work with you again and not refer people to you, which is both very important for you to have a successful and sustainable and thriving career coaching business. The third thing I would say is, I personally recommend people to get into career coaching if they have lived the journey themselves in terms of struggling to find what their next career path is, struggling to get interviews, struggling to convert interviews into offers, struggling to make connections and network with people, right? Struggling to ask the compensation you deserve. And despite going through those struggles, which everybody has, the best of best people, despite going through those struggles, you have come out successful. And now you want to share that story. You want to share that wisdom. You want to share that expertise with somebody else in a coaching capacity. So those would be my 3 ideal tips.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yauhan. And thank you so much for coming to our podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect with you or find you, number one, they can go into LinkedIn and look up Yauhan Mehta. They'll be able to find you there. They will also be able to find your phone number and your email there so you can email you directly. Is there any other way people could reach out to you and connect with you?
So I'm only available on LinkedIn, and I have my phone number over there. I have my email over there. So definitely, start off by sending me a DM, but you can also email me. You can also send me a text. I just would recommend don't call me too late at night because I probably will be, either with my kids or sleeping. But otherwise, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And before you connect with me, I would suggest, have a look at my profile and have a look at what I have been sharing, even if it's for the past few days, past few weeks, and see if that resonates with you, right? So it's not just about connecting with another person, another coach. You really want to be intentional in terms of who you connect. And if you come to my profile, if you see my content, and if you think that this is something you want to see more and more of, and it would really benefit you, inspire you, empower you, then please, follow me as well as send me a connection request telling me why you're interested in being connected with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yauhan. And again, thank you for coming to our show. It was lovely to have you on the podcast.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.